Hi, Mark Warnke here with PackGoats.com. So I wanted to show you not only how to put on saddles of different kinds, including ours and others on the brand, because it's just something I see over and over again, is saddles just not fitted right to the goats. But also too, I want to show you how to put a saddle on a new goat. Now the only new goat I have is Coulter here, and Coulter's really cool. He's really leggy. He's got a bit of a sway back. He's a cool goat though. He carries weight efficiently and he's putting on weight. I think he's going to work out for us. You know, he's a neat goat. But anyway, he's flighty and he's nervous, and he's only had a saddle on him one or maybe two other times. So it's kind of still new for him, and he's flighty. So I want you to see how I kind of handle him. Now Coulter's a big sniffer, so I'm going to come up to him. I'm going to hold the saddle and his face together and let him know just everything's all cool. Let him get a little sniff of it. You can see he's actually smelling it right there. Okay, and then I'm going to address him on his left side. So I'm going to step around him, come to his left-hand side. And this is how I'll tie him up on the horse trailer too. And I'll take his leash and I'll keep it tight against me, so he only has this much room to really move if I'm doing it by myself. If I'm doing it with somebody else, it's actually easier because they can kind of keep him, you know, parallel to me. But I can come into here and keep him pretty close. So I'm just going to really calmly and slowly set this on his back. It's going to be pretty mellow. Goats handle new stuff really well. They really don't get freaked out too bad. So normally, always, you got to remember, you start every saddle at the cinch. So you can see he's really pretty good. He's only had a saddle on a couple of times, but we're going to start it at the cinch. And this is sometimes where these guys will get flighty. They don't really like your hands underneath them very much. What's really important is that this cinch is a hand width behind the front shoulder. Now our saddle is one of the only on the market that makes this easy. A lot of them, and you'll see when I fit other saddles, don't do that very well. It's also harder because they don't use this kind of cinch design. But when you do a double cinch, 60% of the pressure is up front. It's a hand behind. You always mount the cinch first, and then there's the back cinch. So now everything's on there. Now I can do the britchin'. This britchin's just about right. It actually fits him just about right. I want it against the skin, but I don't want it tight and drawing in, but I also don't want it flappy and loose. So that's going to hold that saddle if it wants to go forward. And then with ours, it's the yoke design, and the yoke is very simple. All you do is attach it on top and then bring this into the side. So that's how easy our saddle goes on. It's really not complicated at all. It kind of may appear at a glance that it is because there's a fair amount of straps, but it's really pretty simple. 2 cinch straps, a britchin, and a yoke. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another goat, and I'm going to show you some of the other saddles because there's some things that you're going to have to be mindful of. But when I look at this saddle on him, I kind of don't super love how this fit, so I would loosen this up a little bit, bring that up, kind of measure that in. You know, I would fit it to him, but for the most part, this is really right there. I like this sitting up just a little bit higher, so I'm going to bring this side of it up, set that up there, cinch these down right there. So I'm going to kind of take a look. Everything else looks pretty good. As he walks, he'll show you if there are things out of balance or not quite fit right, but you know, really pretty simple. Not a super hard design. You want that nice and tight underneath. Oops, and I did leave his tail underneath. Always remember to pull that tail out. So good job, Coulter. Good job. All right, so I'll grab another goat and I'll show you the other saddles. All right, so I got Eli here because he just stands really nice. He's my oldest goat, my smallest goat, and I'm going to show you 2 different kind of traditional designs. If you're like me, I started out, I had a hard time getting the top of the line gear. I was buying goats and getting free equipment with the goats or deals. So I think I have every saddle manufactured, from the Oahe to the Butthead, Northwest. This is a homemade jobby. I got Matt Lyons, got my own. Now of course I'm going with all my own, but I wanted to show you guys some of the different designs and how to fit them because it can be really confusing. So this is a design that this is somebody's home job. I actually got it from Canon, and it's kind of confusing until you put it together, and I think this is like Butthead's design, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's got its problems, but it functions, and you know, and all that good stuff. But anyway, regardless, so we got a double cinch design. It's very centered in the saddle. So you're going to see this is one of those where the cinch wants to be too far back and on his belly, and how I'm going to compensate for that This is the breeching, and here's the breast collar. Pretty very simple design. I actually cut this pad out of a horse blanket. I cut it in two, and then cut two of these pads, and then you can see I corded them in. There's a cord that runs along the top that keeps that in there, and it's like a little built-in pad, and it worked well. So we're going to do the same. We're just going to put it on the goat. We're always putting it on from the left side. And here, let's step you just right here, Eli. Good boy. Good boy. And again, always start with the cinch, the front cinch. So on this design, the front cinch, this was obviously on it's a fairly small goat. So I'm going to want to try to make sure that this cinch is centered. So we're just going to do our best to kind of do that quick. Stay here, bud. Good boy. And so we're going to pull this around. And you can see when it is off his shoulder blade, which remember, you can always feel the edge of their shoulder blade. Shoulder blade's right here. When it's just behind the edge of his shoulder blade, you can see going directly down, that cinch, his leg's forward now, but that cinch is set to be too far back. You know, it's back here on his belly. That's like here. So you actually have to angle these forward, which is not the best, but it's what you got to do. So we're going to loosen this a little bit, and we're going to angle it forward so that it goes into the right place. The problem is as he wears it, what happens is that'll have a tendency to slide back on him, and then it's in the wrong place. So there's that. Now you see how much pressure that just put on him? That's just too darn tight. So I'm going to loosen the other side, give him a little bit. Remember, with a saddle design that isn't really custom fit, a lot of times you have to use cinch pressure to hold that saddle in place. So you're going to want a little more cinch pressure than normal. I can still get 3 fingers in there, so this isn't all crazy tight, but it's tighter than I would traditionally want or have to do it. Now this one's kind of weird how it goes. This other cinch comes up, hooks in back here, and then this one comes down and hooks into this D-ring, and then comes back up and goes in there. Now this one's really important not to have tight, because that is fully on his belly. His penis is clear back here, so it's not back there on his penis, but it's at the very end of his sternum. It's almost belly, so you don't want this tighter. He's going to be really uncomfortable. And then breast collar. Now these, again, with these pads and stuff, these are a little bit more apt to kind of chafe and grab hair, so you're still going to want them to have tight. But this type of saddle, it's not uncommon that by the end of the year, if Eli was wearing this, he would have just really not much hair left here, and he wouldn't have much hair left back here because of how these ride. So that's really how you fit this. I would probably mount this a little bit higher because I want it a little higher, but it's hard to do on these type of saddles. But again, trying to get that just a little bit higher so it'll ride more, and then I'll pull that up with both of these. This is always an interesting position to be with the goat for onlookers. But anyway, so you can see I was able to bring that up a little bit like that, and that's probably how I'd wear that saddle right there. You can see it's off his shoulder blade. The cinch is pretty close to the right place. It's kind of angled up. I probably mount it back just a little bit, but there you go. That's how I'd mount this saddle. So let's pull this off and then put on the other one, which is a single cinch design, which a lot of saddles out there are, and give you a little better idea of that as well. Sorry about that, buddy. Okay. This is one of kind of an older design of Matt Lyon's. I like it too. It's kind of a, and by the way, Matt Lyon has these stay put pads. This is the best pad I really like. These are going to be available here shortly on PackGoats.com as well. I really like these stay puts. They're well thought out. They're good for this type of saddle. They're really good. They're better than a full pad because they're just a smaller footprint on their back, so they allow for more ventilation. So, you got an itch, buddy? I'll get it for you. Oh, good one. That's a good one. Can't move. All right. So, same thing. We're going to start off with the cinch, and we're going to mount him from his left side. This cinch is going to go down underneath, and then the way this one goes is it goes right into here, and the adjustment is up here. Now this is an example. You know how on our saddle it goes up through a D loop and comes back down and clicks in, so it's kind of like a pulley. This is an example where you're trying to put something on that isn't a pulley, and you can see I have to create a whole bunch of tension, and then what I got to do is fight to get that together. That's just a lot harder way to do it than the pulley design, but it still works. You know, nothing horrid, but that's something to consider. Lots of times you want to loosen that on the front end, and this one, the britchin or the breast collar, I actually really like. It comes in right there and there, and you can see again, to get this in the right place up here about a hand, and again his legs back, his legs forward, I'm a hand behind that. I had to angle it up just a little bit to get it to go into there, but again on these that's kind of what you got to do. So if we and no, it's not what you have to do on all goats, it's what you have to do on at least 50%. Different body types fit differently, but it's common to have to angle that up. Now on the britchin, I can just loosen this here and loosen it on the other side, and this britchin will set down in. Same thing, I want it to rest in nice and as high as I can get it. Let go of the tail, and now you can see it's in. So key, make sure you're behind that shoulder blade. Most people run that saddle too far forward. If you run it up on these shoulder blades, you're going to wear a hole in them right there. You want that to be hand width. You always do the cinch first. You want the breast collar not tight but snug, and the same with the britchin. Tight, not tight, but snug. So I hope that helps with saddle fit. Make sure that your goat is fit well. It will make a total difference to his comfort, his ability to carry weight for you over time. A goat that is comfortable with the load that he's carrying is the same as you. If you had a load that you were carrying in a backpack that was hurting you the whole time you were carrying it, making you uncomfortable, making you feel bound up, you know, you're going to be lucky to make 3 or 4 miles. But if you're super comfortable, you can legitimately have a 10-mile day. Well, it's the same for them. So make sure you're putting their saddles on properly, and if you have questions, feel free and contact me at PackGoats.com with questions, pictures. Here's how I'm putting it on. Is that right? I'm totally willing to help. So I hope that was helpful to you. PackGoats.com. Again, thanks for watching.